Good morning, students. Welcome to the class. Today we are going to see 6th standard social science history unit 1. What is history? I often flip my photo albums. They will tell me about the past events of my family. I'm sure you too must be doing it often. Past events, something that has already happened, in contrast to the present and the future. Example, what you ate yesterday for dinner? Here, the question is about the action that has already completed. Another example, when you're coming after summer holiday to school, your teacher might ask, how did you spend your time in summer holidays? Did you visit your grandma house or any tourist spot? So, all these are past events which might be happened before one day or 1 week, 1 year or 1 century. So everything is past. Now we will see what is chronological order. Arranging things or events according to the time of happening or the order in which they occurred. Example, when you start saying a story, you never start with an end of the or middle event of the story. You will go in a order to make the story interesting and clarity for the person who is listening to story. Example, in your life, when you collect your childhood photos, you arrange it according to your age. Yes, so this is chronological order. It is the order of arranging the events according to the time of happening. Now we will go to our lesson. What is history? History is a study of past events in chronological order, or we can say history is a study of human past. The study of past events in chronological order, particularly in human affairs, is called history. History is an umbrella term that relates to the past events as well as the memory, discovery, collection, organization, presentation and interpretation of information about these events. The term history is derived from the Greek word historia, which means learning by inquiring. History means to ask questions about or inquire about the past. Someone who studies the past is called historian. Studying the past is a bit like being a detective. To make sense of what has happened in the past, an historian will use the same techniques as a detective. They will need evidence. Herodotus is the father of history, the first writer to narrate history. He wrote the book Histories. Earlier, the history of man has been divided into 3 periods: the Hindu age, the Muslim age, and the British age, according to the religion of the ruler who rules the country. Later on, the necessity of including social and economical conditions, the historian changed it as the Hindu age as the ancient period, the Muslim age as the medieval period, and the British age as a modern period. In our lesson, we are going to see about the ancient period. The ancient period in India extends from the man's emergence to about AD 712. Proto-history. It is a period between the prehistory and the history. The period between the use of first stone tools and the invention of writing system is prehistory. Stone tools, excavated materials and rock paintings are the major sources of prehistory. At the beginning, man did not lead a settled life but wandered, that is, moved from one place to another. He didn't know how to read and write. The period of man's existence for which we have no written records is called prehistory. And what is history? And that period of time for which we have written records is known as history. So the period of man's existence which we do not have written records is prehistory, and for which we have written records is known as history. Have you ever wondered as to how the historians are able to tell us about the events which happened long time back? Historians are more like detective, I have already said, and that they have conclusions from clues and evidences, which are also called source materials, which are of two types. They are archaeological source and literary source. Before saying what is archaeological source and literary source, we should know the meaning of source. Yes. For better understanding, I'll give an example. What is source? From where do we get water? Yes, rain is a main source of water. From rain, it is carried on to rivers, lakes, ponds, and streams. And the groundwater is got through pumps, hand pumps, and pipes. In the same way, the source, the evidences, the clues have been got from the archaeological sources and literary sources about the ancient period. Archaeological sources, yes, they are artifacts, coins, inscriptions, and monuments. Artifacts, yes, the things made and used by man are called artifacts. They are potteries, toys, tools, and ornaments. Next is coins. Knowing the history of coins reveals much about the period during which they were used. The picture and the legend on the coins convey the names of the kings with the titles, events, places, dates, dynasties, and logo. Coins reveal more information about Delhi Sultans, Chola kings, and also about Muslim kings. Next is inscriptions. Inscriptions are writings carved on rocks, pillars, metal plates, clay, tablets, walls of temples, houses, tombs, and so on. They provide a lot of information about the rulers, their reigns, their governance, language used, and literary skills of those times. Next, monuments. Monuments are structured that includes temples, palaces, forts, stupa, and monastery. Temples, example in Kanjipuram, Kailasnath Temple, and Tanjavur, Bragadishwar Temple. Palaces, Mysore Palaces, Fort, Red Fort in New Delhi, and stupa is a place where meditation is done, and monastery is a place where the monks and nuns use it for domestic purpose and also as a workplace. Next, we'll move on to literary sources. Literary sources can be classified into two. They are religious literature and secular literature. Religious literature are epics and devotional literatures. Epics, you all know, is the two main epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and also it includes Manimegalai. And devotional literatures are Devaram, Nalaya Divya Prabandham, and Tiruvasakam. So, religious literature are based on religious themes, whereas the secular literatures are not connected with religions. Example, Kauchalya's Arthashastra and Kalidasa's Abhagyanana Shakuntala. Next, books and informations given by foreign travelers, works by Indian authors, and folk songs and ballads. It is a period when early men lived. So, early men lived in the forest in caves. Some went to hunting for their food, and some who stayed in caves drew paintings of their lifestyles, hunting, and about the animals they domesticated. Yes, as they are living in the forest and caves, they were afraid of wild animals to enter into the caves. But the dogs which they domesticated helped them with their sniffing skills by protecting from wild animals. Hence, the early men domesticated the dogs for their protection and hunting activities. Students, here ends today's class. So, the rest of the lesson we'll see in the next class. So, now Let us recall what we have read in today's class. First, we read what is the meaning of past events, chronological order, who are historians, what are the sources they give as evidence, classifications of history, proto-history, prehistory, and also we saw about the early man's lifestyle. So students, once again you go through your lessons, you listen to the audio again, and if you have any doubts, feel free to ask. Thank you. We'll see in next history class.